Hello, hello. What's up, my family? I'm so excited to be here. I can't believe that it's May, honestly. I just don't know where time is going, to be honest. I can't believe that this is already the fifth guest and that I've been doing these consistently for 3 years, I think now. And so, wow, wow. And every single guest is so badass. And Selena Soo is another incredible leader. And I'm just so excited to talk about her new book that's coming out. As you're watching, whether you're watching this live, say hello. Where are you watching in from? If you're catching the replay, totally cool. Say hello, ask questions along the way. Me and the team are always taking a look at that, because we know everybody is all over the place. So with that, Selena, welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to my
Yes, hello. I'm so
welcome to
excited.
the circus over here, Listen, I met Selena actually through Emily Williams and just the entrepreneurial circle. Actually, it was Julie and Julie
Both of them. Yeah.
And, was just like, who is this person? I keep hearing your name. She's she knows PR. She knows how to get your brand out there. Experts in every single field. Just like people were talking about you, like in good ways, in a good way. And just like I was attracted to, what is she doing? Like, who is this? And so I think that is such an incredible part of your talent is giving people the sort of setup to who they are, which is directly related to personal brand, and then setting that up for these opportunities and however that unfolds. I think that's like your mastery. And so rich relationships is the perfect thing, that you would create because PR and marketing and all these things that we do, like ultimately is about that. Like,
No, I'm obsessed with what you're saying. I think it's such an important point because our personal brand is so important to relationship building. Before we meet someone, we hear their name, right? Someone's talking about them. What are they saying? What do we see on their LinkedIn? What's showing up online? So I will say with rich relationships, your personal brand is essential because people are deciding, do I want to get closer? Do I want to start the conversation? Do I want to go to that event with them? Am I going to respond to that email and get on a call with them? So personal brand is huge, but it's going to be your personal character and your personal relationship with them that gets them to stay. So, when I think about you, Rachel, I'm like, oh my gosh, such a badass with LinkedIn, has this incredible corporate background, Microsoft, right? There's things that come to mind, Austin, Josh, right? These are things that are part of your personal brand. But when I think about how I feel about you, it's like, okay, I know her personal character. She's someone that I can trust. She's someone that I can vouch for. I think about our personal relationship and how we show up for each other, how we think about each other. So all these elements are essential. Personal brand is part one, but then there's all these other elements to really then nurture and deepen and like activate the rich relationship.
Oh my gosh, that's good, Selena. The character. Yeah. And while we're certainly living in a time where in your club, oh my gosh, what's your name? Talked about, we're in the trust recession, which and to your point, like these relationships that we're building in a time where people aren't trusting, we're inundated with content, social media is in our face. Everything feels like, what is going on? Who, what, where? Like it can't make sense of it all. That character is so important, right? It can really like accelerate your career or
right, because right now with AI you can build a personal brand real quick, you can get content up, but AI can't build your personal character. That's just your personal relationship that you develop with someone, the time that you choose to invest, the thoughtfulness, showing up. You can't AI that either. So what I've been saying, and it's just like, it's a reality, is that like, we've lived in this world of mass marketing, let's blast things out, newsletters, social media, and these things are essential, right? These are a part of my brand, and this is what keeps the business moving forward. And I think that there is something that complements it and cuts through all the noise, and that is the rich relationship. I think about someone on my team who was really, heading up sales and marketing, and she's, doing her own thing right now. And so I'm celebrating that and supporting her with her next chapter. And she was saying to me, Selena, there are these two people that I want to talk to. One person, she's super high profile. She's in a massive launch right now. The other person, very hard to get in touch with. But I do have a rich relationship with both of them, where there's caring, there's trust, there's mutual support. And I was like, so and so's in the middle of like her biggest launch of the year right now. But there could be an opportunity for you to jump in and be helpful. So let me go ahead. Let me message actually one of her team members. Let me like box her right now. And then I box a team member, and she's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to talk to her and her husband and da 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 da. And then within like 30 minutes, it's like, okay, you can make the introduction, right? And so it's like things like that. There's no amount of like Facebook ads and general social media posting that can set up that particular meeting, but a rich relationship can make it happen within 2 hours. So we need all of it. But what I'm saying is, like, in the process of building your brand, don't forget about the rich relationships too, that will supplement and complement the hard work that you're putting into your brand.
Mm-hmm. It's like a messaging pillar. It's a pillar of the brand, the identity. That's what's coming up for, and I think about, here's my brand identity, and there are pieces of that. I think about like the wheel, and there are the spit, whatever those things are.
I know exactly what you're talking about. This
and like this is
yeah.
This is such a core pillar. Before we get into the book, just in case people don't know very much about you, and you're, a bit more active on Instagram, this will be on Facebook, and it will be on LinkedIn and on YouTube.
Amazing.
But yeah, let's just like back out for a second of the journey that got you to this point of now being an author, and God knows whatever title we'll give you over the next decade.
I know. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I would say my journey into this whole world of entrepreneurship, marketing, began because when I was in my mid-20s, I had a quarter life crisis, and I was living in New York City, working at a nonprofit. I was making about $42,000 a year, which doesn't go too far in New York City. But the bigger thing was that I had crippling low self-esteem, and I had trouble like getting out of bed in the morning, putting food into my body, just like doing the basics. And so my mom flew from Vancouver to New York to be by my side. And on this journey, I remember saying to a friend, like, I can't live my life. I have to find a way to feel better. Like, how? And she said, I want to introduce you to this female life coach. Her name is Jen Mack. And I connected with Jen. I joined her women's circle, her group program, and I got exposed to all of these incredible ideas from experts and authors and thought leaders. I started reading these books, and I realized that when people are struggling and suffering, they don't just need information, they need inspiration. And I feel like there is nothing more inspiring than a person who I consider to be a role model, who embodies a message of possibility and hope, right? Our personal brand. And so I was like, wow, I really want to elevate these people, because I saw the impact it had in my life. I started to take more personal responsibility for how I felt, got back in control, got happier, got inspired. And so at the time, like, publicity was what I poured myself into, because I was like, I really want to elevate and amplify these people so that people see, like, this is someone worth paying attention to. They want to take in their message. And I would say today, it's kind of evolved more. Like, publicity was that rich relationship. I wanted to support others in cultivating. And now it's just so much broader. In the book, I talk about many different types of rich relationships. Like, there's 10 core ones. And just to like highlight a couple right now, beyond media, which falls into the promoter category, there's also mentors. There are super connectors that know everyone and can connect you to your next client, your next speaking opportunity. There's confidants, where we can be our messiest version of ourselves, and they accept us completely, and they're here for the highs, they're here for the lows, they're here for everything. That's a really valuable rich relationship, right? Like, a therapist could be a rich relationship, and it actually supports you in your business when you get your confidence back and your mind right. Referral partners, peers, investors, super fans. There's so many. And so I wrote this book to really like show people how they can build that $1 million network. I really believe that building rich relationships is the fastest way to achieve every goal. Every problem you have in life can be solved through a rich relationship. And so, yes, it's like, okay, how do I solve the problem? But it's also, who do I need to know, right? To relieve any kind of pain or to reach any kind of goal. So it's another kind of perspective to go about life that I think people forget. I think that we kind of know, like, oh, yeah, it's so important, our relationships. But then sometimes we take them for granted. We forget to cultivate them. And so the book really just shows the people the power of, cultivating these relationships to completely transform your whole life.
Yeah. Can you maybe highlight one relationship? Maybe you talk about it in the book that was very influential or transformational for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. One person that's coming to mind is like my dear friend Laura Belgray. And so it started out when our mutual friend Matthew Kimberly said, "You two have got to meet. You're both fabulous ladies. I know that you're, going to hit it off." And so we got together actually at her husband's restaurant, Sisanta, and we bonded over burrata and pasta and cocktails and we stayed in touch and we would continue to have meals together. And at the time, Laura was really known as that copywriter, that behind the scenes person for all these famous personal brands. And there was a part of her that was like, I want to develop my own personal brand. I don't want to just be known as so and so's copywriter. I want to be known as Laura effing Belgray, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm the main character, right? And I think that we all want that in our lives, right? And so I was like, well, let me help you with publicity. Have you ever thought about getting publicity? And you're someone that loves to write, right? You're a copywriting expert, so you should be putting yourself out there. And she was like, well, how do I get started? How do I do that, right? And so I got her into my work. I have a program called Impacting Millions. And so she started going through the program. I started also just helping her initially as a friend and like finessing some ideas, making some connections. And then she got like this big Business Insider article. And then Forbes. And then she just kind of continued to kind of build her relationships in New York and start pitching all these ideas. And then Money Magazine and her articles went viral. So she really built her audience and also got on podcasts. And then instead of only promoting other people's products, she started creating her own products too and selling them. So it brought a lot of revenue millions of dollars. But similarly, it also really supported me because when I had my program for Impacting Millions, she was like, "Oh, I would love to be an affiliate." And I'm like, "Yes." And so she started telling people about her results. And literally that relationship has translated into $1 million of revenue over several years, right? But that's what happens. And it's also built my brand because she's singing my praises. I'm singing her praises.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just so beautiful when there are like these mutually beneficial relationships and they feel so natural, but they're also really purposeful and like energetically abundant. So that's just like, that's one example. But I think that everybody can create these kinds of relationships, but they're not always thinking to.
And something that I want to highlight here, because I think has been really critical in the way I've formed relationships too, that I don't think a lot of people do. And I think particularly, I love you, my Gen Z and my Gen Alpha, but I think this is something we get to work on with our younger folks.
Okay.
Building an emotional connection. And as Stephen Covey says, that emotional bank account with somebody
Mhm.
before you are making an ask. And so often people you barely know, right? You just got introduced and all of a sudden they're asking you for, some of your time or, hey, can you introduce me to this person? And you're like, we don't even know each other. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. And how often does that happen? Or people will reach out to me and they want my time and then they want me for a job, something like that. And I'm like, I don't know you. I can't get your job, right?
Yeah.
In your story, you're talking about like you had dinner, you built relationship connection with
Yes.
that person, an emotional connection. And that was a give and take. And you then gave to her without asking for money
Mhm.
or anything because you wanted to support. And then there's that ripple effect that happens. And so that is such a missing piece, I think, of how people connect today in IRL, but also digitally
Mhm.
too, because people are just, spamming and da 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 da. When what about if you took a moment to actually, like, in that DM, send that voice note, which, by the way, Selena's really good at this. She's like a perfect example of, like, and some people, like, using, even in our online presence, there are ways to connect deeper with somebody. Voice notes
Mm,
is a great way, instead of, the email or whatnot, or getting on a phone call. And so I just want to note that, because I think a lot of that's missing in how people are connecting with each other today. And we're really thirsty for that. We want people to care about us. And in doing that, we'll give the world to other people.
Absolutely. Rachel, one thing that's coming up for me as you're talking is I think because we live in this world of social media and personal branding, that we can feel like we know someone, but we don't actually know them, right? So it's like, oh, well, I listened to their podcast. I've been, watching what they're posting on LinkedIn. But observing someone isn't the same as building an actual relationship. So before we had social media, you wouldn't know these things unless you had that conversation. So now people feel an intimacy that isn't actually there yet. It's like one sided. And
Yeah.
so therefore they are skipping steps. And I think it also happens a lot right now, Rachel, especially with, things shifting in the world of business. And whenever people are in a place of maybe even feelings of scarcity, and we've all had those moments, that's part of what, it means to be human. We have our moments of struggle, but then they're like, they feel like they need to seal the deal so much more quickly, and they go kind of into that like beast mode. And while it is good to, do outreach and, focus on things, but we don't want to rush things where someone is like, wait, this person has like no discernment. Like you've experienced and shared, like I've joined groups, I'm like brand new to the group, and it's like, someone's like, oh my gosh, I saw you joined, and I'm a branding expert and you're a PR expert, and we could trade clients. Do you want to get on a phone and explore how we could do that? And I'm thinking like, wow, like this person really doesn't have discernment. There's no trust built. Is that how they go about business? It says, and I'm not saying they're a bad person, but it just says that they're really like underdeveloped. And I'm not, that's not kind of like a relationship that I want to get into. So yeah, I mean, it's always coming from a good place, but it's going to unintentionally like scare people.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, as you're talking about this, what's coming up for me and from the book is the 6 circles of connection.
Oh, yes, yes.
And so in that example, I'm thinking about too, where those people are. So somebody like that, you joined a group and they're like, oh, let's, be referral partners. And you're like, oh, can you talk about where, but those 6 circles of
Ah,
kind of that example too?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely connects to that. So basically, with relationships, you're going to know a lot of people. Maybe you're like, oh, wow, I've got like thousands of contacts on LinkedIn and Instagram. But just because you're connected to thousands of people doesn't mean that they're all rich relationships and that they all should have the same level of trust and proximity to you. And so the circles are really based on trust and proximity. So let's start with circle one. So this is going to be your innermost circle. There's typically only a very small handful of people. Sometimes there's zero. But circle one are people that are doing life with you. They're by your side. If you ask a circle one, what's happening in Rachel's world? What is she up to? They're going to have an answer. They know whether it's day by day or week by week. This could be a life partner. This could be a longtime therapist. This could be a very best friend that you're trading voice notes with throughout the day. But these are your innermost connections. And also, there is just so much trust. Like you are comfortable really revealing yourself to them and knowing that they're going to be there for you. That's circle one. Now there's circle two. And so these are your treasured connections. These are soulful relationships. They might not know the day by day or the week by week, but if you reach out to them, they're going to show up. In circle two, it's a pleasure and priority to be there for you. So I do talk about, as we go deeper into like adding value and generosity, I think that we can add value and give generously without attachment. But I will say that this is nuance. If someone is your one or two, it is healthy to expect that they're going to show up for you when you need them. So that's how you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's circle two. Now, then there's circle 3. So this is your active network. This is like a broader network of people, and there is mutual caring and trust. So with a circle 3, you would absolutely invite them to the party. You feel comfortable introducing them to other people and recommending. This is another amazing person in my, my circle. I just adore them, right? You, if they had to crash a night and you had an extra spare room, you would feel comfortable allowing them into your home with your family and your innermost circle, right? So that's what a circle 3 is. So there's going to be a lot of circle 3s in your rich relationships. And these are people that, good people, you care about each other, and you feel that if they could, they would show up for you, right? There's a lot of richness there. Now there's circle 4. So circle 4 are distant connections. So these are people where there's a little bit of distance. You keep them at arm's length. So there's a couple of reasons. So going back to the example, Rachel, maybe you just joined a group and you connected with someone. They're still a stranger. You just met. Like after 1 or 2 conversations, they're not going to have the same level of trust or proximity as 1, 2, and 3s that have spent time with you, right? It takes time for someone to reveal themselves and to build a true emotional connection. Another reason why someone might be in circle 4 is like you may have known of them for like years and years. You have history, but you're like, if you're really honest with yourself, there's something that's not quite right. Maybe every time you talk to them, they're so negative. They're speaking badly about other people. They're always like a victim. And it's like, I just feel like we're on different wavelengths, right? Or maybe it's something where they're so nice, but they're not reliable, and you feel like you can't actually count on them. So they can still be a part. They can actually still be a part of your rich network, but they're also, other people also call this like a weak tie. You're connected, but you're not close, right? And you actually feel good that there's a little bit of like space and distance. Another reason why someone might be in circle 4 is like you're in a place where it's like, my life is so freaking full. I've got kids, I've got my partner, maybe I have aging parents, maybe I'm starting a new business. Like I'm not in a place where I can allow more people into 1, 2, and 3 because I don't have the bandwidth to show up and invest in that relationship, right? So then they stay in circle 4. Now there's circle 5. And so these are disconnected relationships. Maybe someone betrayed you, a line was crossed, and it's like, I'm not going to be in an active relationship with this person, or even distant, like, I'm done here. Or maybe it's someone that you don't even like, they've done nothing to you, but you know that they're a dangerous person. They've caused a lot of pain and drama for others. And you're like, I'm just not available to enter that relationship, right? Like, in a way that that they're in circle 5 is if there was an intimate event, maybe there were like 4 people and you knew that they were there, you might be like, you know what, I'd rather just like pass on that. Like, I don't want to engage, right? Like, I don't even want to be at an arm's length. I need like more distance, right? So it's like you feel it's not a safe or healthy relationship. That's circle 5. And then there's circle 6. So that's everyone else in the world that you're not connected, or it's just like a one way where they know about you, but there's no conversation. So this is a really helpful framework for yourself. You don't tell people I've moved you from circle 2 to circle 4 or you belong in circle 5. It's just that because I remember hearing a saying once. A colleague of mine said, maintaining a friendship not rooted in your truth keeps you out of integrity. And this applies to every relationship, Rachel. Like, I feel like we've all had moments, right, where it started off good and then things were revealed and we're like, like me being in close relationship, that's not rooted in my truth. That's not in alignment with who I am. That's not a good reflection of my values, right? And so once we know that, it's like, what do we do, right? We don't want to feel out of integrity. Well, we can just move them into a different circle. So what that could look like is if there is someone that you're like, they need to be like circle 4, but they're hitting me up all the time and they're always relying on me and they always have drama and they're trying to reel me into their situation. Maybe it's you're still going to be kind to them, but maybe you're not going to respond the instant you see the text message and run to their rescue. Maybe you respond the next day. Maybe it's like, I can do this, but I can't do this. And you just start creating that distance, right? So I just feel like this is a game changer for helping people stay in alignment, but also like recognizing, I think sometimes people think, oh, the rich relationship is the person with the most power and most influence. And I would say the rich relationship is a person that you trust the most and that you give the proximity to, and that you feel that they really care about you and you care about them and they're going to show up for you. That's the rich relationship.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm like going through people in my head. And I'm also thinking about, oh my God, the movie with Meet the Fockers and his like circle of trust. Oh my God. What is the movie? I'm having, oh, whoever, chat. Tell me in the chat what movie. Parenting? Whatever. Anyway, do you know what I mean with
I
Robert De
know the
Niro?
movie, but I'm getting the idea. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's like a whole thing in the movie. I love the six circles of connection. I want to also hit one more thing before we close out our time because
absolutely.
we've talked a bit about it in this conversation of this generosity, this idea of generosity, and what does it mean to be a generous giver? And you have a generosity fund. Like, talk a little bit about this for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have this concept that I coined called breathtaking generosity. And what it is what it sounds like. Someone is so generous, it takes your breath away. You're like, wow, like you're almost like transformed. Like someone would be so thoughtful and so generous. And it also makes you think about like, I want to be like that too, right? So it's like this really beautiful thing. And so, how do you become breathtakingly generous? Well, there's two primary ways, okay? So, with the people that you care about, you want to think about what are their biggest goals and dreams, and also what are their pains. And so if you were to say to me, well, Selena, I don't know, like I'm not a mind reader, how do I know that someone's in pain right now? I would challenge you and say I think you do know, and that there's pain all around us. Whether it is, if you live in the United States, you probably know some people that have been affected by natural disasters, the wildfires in LA, hurricanes in Florida or North Carolina, where they had to evacuate, where property got destroyed, where they had to rebuild their life. That's an example of pain. And Joe Polish calls this being a pain detective, right? Being alert to when there's pain. Or maybe someone and they're struggling in their marriage, or there are behavioral issues with their kids, or they're about to go through a divorce. Maybe they feel like they're losing their identity because of the divorce, or maybe their business is not doing well and they're like, I'm no longer a 6-figure or 7-figure entrepreneur. Am I still relevant? Am I still matter? Is my peer group still going to respect me? Maybe their business is completely not working and they have to create like a whole new offer and product line, and everything that they were known for doesn't even exist anymore, right? I mean, there's just so many examples of when people are in pain. And so when you notice someone is in pain, thinking about, well, how can I be the first to help and not the last to help? How can I be someone that is proactive and adding value versus just watching, right? And so that's something that I'm just like really attuned to. It's just kind of like how I'm built. Like I feel like I'm not the person who is like going to be like, someone's like, oh, do you want to spend the whole day like 10 hours at the beach or 5 hours at the beach? I might not say yes to that, but like I know when to show up when it matters. I feel like really motivated, like, oh wow, I could really make a difference here, or when someone shares their biggest goal and dream, whether it's like, I'm launching this podcast, I'm so excited, I'm trying to get my first 100 iTunes reviews, or I've got a book and it's my life's work, or I've got just like this really big goal of mine, whatever it is, right? Maybe it's like I'm looking for my life partner, or, um, you know, I'm making a big move, or whatever it is. They have their goals and dreams. It's like, how can you be a dream amplifier? How can you help them reach their goals and dreams faster with more ease? So when you show up for people really around some of their deepest pains, as well as their biggest goals and dreams, people are going to think, wow, person is such a giver. Like they make my life better. Like that's how you become a person. You can also become a person where you're in a category of one. I can think of certain people, they've done so much for me that I'm just like, oh my God, you're just like in a league of your own. Like I'm obsessed with you. Like when that person needs help, like I really want to make sure to be there in the same way. And so, the book Rich Relationships is really about how do you be a rich giver. And a rich giver is someone that is purposeful and intentional with the energy and the love and the support that they pour into others. Because the reality is, if you try to help everyone, you're going to deplete yourself and run yourself ragged. And if you center everyone and forget about yourself, lose yourself, it's just like, it's not sustainable. And so being a rich giver is thinking about, who do I really care about? Who are my circle ones and twos and threes, and maybe even sometimes fours? And how can I pour into people in the moments that matter? So I create this energy of abundance. It feels good to give. And also I create that goodwill, and I trust, not that I need them to do something for me, but rather that when I give to my network and I'm consistently kind and generous and helpful and supportive, that good things are going to come into my life. So I
Mhm.
actually believe in, like, you should expect, if you're a good, kind, generous person and you share your gifts, you
Yeah.
should expect good things are going to happen, but you don't necessarily have to put like a rigid attachment on a particular person. It's like a broader thing, right? So I feel like a lot of these things with the relationship building is nuanced, which is why it's so cool that we can have like this conversation and go into those nuances.
Yeah. And this idea that you're giving because you want to be supportive to somebody, and in doing that, it will come back. And
Yes,
it always
always
does
does.
come back, whether it's from that person or not. Like, that's just the energy that you're putting out there to the universe, and it's good flowing energy, and the universe likes to give more of that when you're putting it out. So that's so good. As we close out, how can people purchase the book? How could they stay in touch? All the things, Lena.
Yes, all the things. So I would say the number one thing that I would love to share with people is the first 4 chapters of my book, because it's not currently available. It's coming out on May 13th. But if you want to get the book, you can go to richrelationshipsbook.com, and you can go there to get the first 4 chapters for free, and also my rich relationship scripts. Because as people go through the book, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I love the language you use, the scripts, right? Because when it comes to initiating, nurturing, activating rich relationships, it comes down to your communication, right? What are the words that you use?
Yeah.
A lot of times people don't know what to use, and they don't want to come across as pushy and, all the things. So I have all my scripts from the books compiled in one place. So go to richrelationshipsbook.com. You're going to get the first 4 chapters, read it before everyone else. You get the scripts. And then also, if you sign up by May 30th, you're going to be entered to win $1,000. So every reason to go check out all the good stuff over at richrelationshipsbook.com.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. Well, I've already bought some books, and I'm very
Ah,
curious about these scripts. So I'm gonna go check out this Rich Relationships Club, right?
or richrelationshipsbook.com. Yeah, exactly.
richrelationshipsbook.com. We'll put it in the links too, to make sure. Please, y'all, take a listen, go purchase. Like, let's support, let's give, right? Let's give to
Mm.
this lady boss, whether you know her or not. Selena, I just really appreciate you and the support you've given me. I have been a receiver of her generosity, and it has taken my breath away. So, I mean, it really is amazing when somebody can give in the way, and she's the real deal. So thank you so much for being here today. Please buy the book. Please say hello to Selena.
Yes, please do.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your month, everybody. Reach out in the DMs. Let me know, what do we think of this episode? What is going on in your lives? I can't wait to see you next month. And with that, have a good one.